right, guys, we got another one here. This is Taraji P. Henson's romantic life is going out sad. Let's check it out.
Since the late 90s, Taraji P. Henson has been an excellent actress, especially in the space of African-American actresses. She's been absolutely fantastic. But unfortunately, her romantic life has not been the best. Taraji P. Henson has never been married, despite in 1994 giving birth to her only son, Marcel. Now, it's important to know that Marcel's father, William Lamar Johnson, was murdered in 2003. Now, there would be some light at the end of the tunnel in 2018 when she was engaged to former NFL player Kelvin Hayden. But on October 19, 2020, she disclosed the end of their engagement. And it seems that for the last decade or so, Taraji P. Henson has been taking shots at black men. There was the 2014 situation where she talks about dating outside of her culture. This was on the Wendy Williams show. She was telling women to broaden their spectrum right before she got with Kelvin Hayden and then got dumped. Then there are these particular escapades that we hear from her all the time.
I mean, guys don't court anymore. They don't court. Take me out to dinner. Say you're gonna pick me up at a certain time.
Yeah.
I remember dating should be an event, you know?
Yes.
You like the guy, so you want to get pretty for him, so you spend all day and
yes.
What happened to that?
And they get worse.
If there's nothing on this finger, here, this finger's naked, no one gets claimed. You don't get claimed. You don't get claimed until you claim me.
This is interesting because every time you take into consideration about Taraji P. Henson, it's always about what somebody else needs to do or what she's not getting and all of this.
Let me say this. When it comes to successful black women, from what I've noticed, is the majority of them are solo Johnson. Okay. And that's not from lack of trying, because they've had plenty of times or chances to date. I mean, you can go look at a lot of their dating past, and most of it is documented, right? Where you can go look it up and see who they've dated. And the same result keeps coming back with all of them. And that is that the relationship fizzles out and never works. I'm not saying that every relationship was their fault, but you can't sit here and say that a lot of them weren't either. Because at some point in time, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself some questions like, hey, is this something I need to change? Is this something I'm not doing right?
Message.
And most women are not going to ask themselves that question, guys. That's why I think about 57% of them are not married. Okay. And out of that 57%, I'm at least 50 of them, 50% out of that is actually wanting or trying to be in a relationship, get in a relationship, guys. That's just my humble opinion on it. Okay.
And I think it's pretty interesting because it just shows really the problem with some of these ladies in dating. They really understand what they don't want, but they never understand why nobody wants them. And then I started to see that this clip was resurfacing.
I'm not even dating right now. Somebody's like, you're not dating? No, I'm not dealing with nobody's unhealed son.
Bitch, shut up.
Can I get an amen? Hallelujah.
And I remember this, and what I'd say to this is, what about you, Taraji? Are you healed?
Yeah. Really now?
Hallelujah. I protect my peace at all costs. If you're not on a healing journey, I can't talk to you.
Now, right now, this certain clip is like being resurfaced everywhere on its own site, all the Instagram blogs, even though I think this is an older clip, but it's just been resurfacing and it's really putting Taraji P. Henson back out there. And all she's saying is, you know, I don't want to deal with somebody's unhealed son. You know, you got to be on the healing journey like me. I can't disturb my peace. And this is what so many women say right now. I mean, you hear it from the Tia Mowries. I mean, you hear it from the Tiana Taylors. It's all about protecting their peace And again, somebody's unhealed son basically blaming these black men as to, why they have a problem with women or why they don't have the emotional maturity to deal with some of these sisters. And again, it seems like an opportunity to blame all black men because typically that's what you get. But we're going to find out really who is to blame here. Now, I want to talk about Leslie Jones
God.
because she's been going viral for the same reason.
Oof.
I mean, she's been talking about, not to get married to these men. These men are not this. But there's going to be one thing that we're going to agree about.
And it's another thing. Parents, raise your fucking kids, man. They supposed to learn rejection from you. They supposed to learn sadness from you. They supposed to learn how to deal with their problems from you. Not from their girlfriend, not from their teacher, from you. You. Stop telling your little boy he's special. Stop doing that.
That is true.
If he's not special.
Mommy's special little boy.
Like, yeah, you keep saying that, and this becomes a boy. That's what he becomes. Grab that motherfucker at 10 years old, push his ass down a couple of times.
Man, I look. Oh, Jesus. It's hard to watch. This is very hard to watch.
I'd rather be like stuck on an island with some weird millionaire hunting me, trying to kill me, and me trying to escape.
Let's continue.
Don't let him go around the house walking straight up. Push him down. Teach him laundry. Teach him how to do his laundry. Because it's disgusting.
You see, I actually believe this is true. Now, Leslie Jones went to this podcast. This podcast is a female-led podcast, so they don't have very many men listeners. And what she's saying is she's directing her animosity towards a lot of these people. And when I'm saying a lot of these people, she's talking to women in general. You are basically making your sons intolerable to deal with these women. That's what it is. So your sons, you're telling them that they're all that and they're not. And so when you get with these women, they become terrible for these women to deal with. And then another creator takes it further.
Black women who grew up in homes with toxic, narcissistic, dysfunctional mothers have the hardest time being able to simply feel comfortable in their own femininity, their own womanhood, and they self-identify in the way that their mothers saw them and oppressed them. So in adulthood, it becomes so difficult to make empowered life choices. It becomes such a struggle to feel confident about your worthiness. It becomes such a detriment when you are trying to simply make moves that are in your best interest, because what you learned growing up is that your needs don't matter, your emotional desires are not important, and you are not valuable, worthy, or enough to get the things that you actually deserve. And ultimately, you are living your adulthood through the identity of a damaged child. You can never and will never be able to become a grown adult woman until you resolve the dysfunction and the toxicity that you experienced at the hands of your mother, and until you heal your mother wound.
This lady says the same thing, but just goes into more detail. The reason why black women struggles in their relationships is because of toxic motherhood. This woman never blamed men at all. She blamed something that we know could be very true in black community, and we've seen it. Toxic motherhood, which could be toxic single moms. I mean, most of our community comes from the single motherhood element, and
Facts.
She talks about that as the source. And it's really interesting because black men are raised by these so-called same. If you're going to use this logic, these same black men are coming from these same moms.
I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I mean, you can watch some of my older videos. But yeah, definitely my mom, definitely, God rest her soul now, but she had some issues, okay? And they stemmed from past relationships and even more importantly from her mother. I think the majority of the problems came from her, if I'm keeping it real. And she wasn't, in my opinion, her mother wasn't a very good person. She wasn't. And a lot of that bled into my mother, and she had ways about her that, thinking about it now, came from that. And so this is generational, man. If you can't stop the bleeding, from the previous generation, man, it will bleed over into the next one and the next one. So you got to try to stifle that. You just got to.
He ain't lying.
Black men and black women are coming from the same communities. So if black men have these problems, then black women must also have these problems. Although black men bear the results or bear the burden of all of these issues. And this is interesting because Taraji P. Henson herself is a single mom. She is never been married. Her son will never be able to get the leadership of a man that she should have had because she's never gotten married and was never trying to get married. And then people could argue that her son is just like the people that she's complaining about. Remember in 2014, Taraji P. Henson said that her son had been racially profiled by the cops and that his car had been illegally searched during a traffic stop. You remember that, right? But nah, we found out from the LA Times that her son Marcel had driven through a lighted crosswalk while a pedestrian was crossing, given verbal consent to search his vehicle, and admitted to smoking weed 2 hours before driving. Hashish oil and marijuana were found inside the car.
Wow.
She had to come out and publicly apologize to the officer in the Glendale Police Department. Exactly. You have been making it very easy for your son to be unaccountable just like you. And so when your son encounters other women, then guess what? Those women start to complain and say that these black men are unhealed. But who creates these black men that these black women cannot stand? You would be surprised. A lot of times these men come from the single motherhood element. And that's the one thing that I noticed about the black community. I've learned about living in Africa. Black people typically do not want to deal with the problems that we have created. I see it all the time. You know, I live in Uganda and you talk about doing business in Uganda, and Ugandans for the most part, when you talk about that, there's a lack of distrust. They don't want to deal with them. They want to deal with foreigners. They want to deal with other people. But the same person that's being critical of Ugandans has not looked at the problems that they're going to put on a foreigner. Okay, the same things that they don't want to deal with, when a foreigner deals with them, the foreigner has to deal with it, right? And it's the same thing with a lot of these black women out here that complain about these black men as being unhealed. Y'all are acting as if you are healed. And the reality is we all come from the same mechanisms. Yes, black men do have problems for sure, but black women gotta stop acting as if y'all don't have any problems. When we come from the same community, the dysfunction that y'all see, we see it. The dysfunction that we got, you got it. The dysfunction, the problems that we have, we both have it. And as far as somebody need to be healed, what you need to do is look at yourself.
The difference between the men and women, though, in this category is that majority of the women have no accountability. They want no accountability and they take no accountability, guys. That's a huge part from the women in our communities, guys, in our culture, because it's made that way. The culture has made it that way as well. It's not helping them identify that and telling them that they might need some help, right, themselves. It's not in our favor. And so we continue the same merry-go-round process, and that is what is creating a lot of these broken families, a lot of these broken relationships, guys, and they will not take their part in doing so.
Because if you are healed, you want to know what happens with you. You attract healed people. But the person who isn't healed always talks about the fact that they ain't got time for somebody who's unhealed, which means that whatever you want, you can't get it because number one, you're not healed. Number two, you don't care what nobody else wants. And number three, you would already be worried about what you need to be producing for that to come to you. You're not worried about what you should be producing because you don't care about that. You care only about what you don't want. And of course, if you keep focusing on what you don't want, that's what you actually get. What you don't want. Instead of working at, what can I do to be better? What can I do to change this? And what can I do to change that? That's something Taraji P. Henson is not going to do at all.
Yeah. And that's the end of the video. Yeah. Spitting facts, of course, as always. I want to thank everybody for watching the content. If you enjoyed it, guys, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I drop content every single day on this channel. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next video.